Hi everyone, my name is Justice Killian and I'm a principal at Space Capital. Today we're going to talk about the potential we've seen in other sectors for unbundling technology and the significant impact that it could have on space. I'm joined by Greg Walsh, Business Development Manager at Microsoft, who has decades of experience in military, air, and space operations with the US government and private sector. Thanks so much for joining us, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. It's good to be here.
At the Planet Explorer Conference in October 2020, Dr. Stacy Dixon, the Deputy Director of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, stated that they face two primary challenges with geospatial data. The first is a verticalization of the industry, and the second is an insufficient access to high-quality training data. The tech sector is ideally positioned to address both of these pain points, and in doing so, they may unleash a new wave of innovation that rivals what we saw in GPS. Both Amazon and Microsoft have entered the space market in substantial ways and have very different approaches. Amazon has chosen to pursue a bundled solution, building out their Kuiper constellation satellite network, integrating with AWS ground stations, and driving growth across their connected devices business. Microsoft will not build out their own space infrastructure or downstream applications, and instead will work with partners to create a robust and dynamic ecosystem built on the Azure cloud. This approach has proven to be foundational to Microsoft's success in the past, and I'm really excited to discuss their vision for unbundling of space going forward. So Greg, let's start with the context setting question. Can you tell me why Microsoft is focusing on space?
Sure, it's pretty simple. When you think about how Microsoft has approached so many other industry areas and industry verticals, there's a whole lot of connectivity, data challenges, processing capabilities that are required to make advances in space. We see a direct fit for the kind of approach that we have across Microsoft to bring cloud capabilities and tools, but as you mentioned, a large partner ecosystem to start bringing innovation to that particular mission area or industry vertical. So space was just a next logical step for us.
Great. And so why is the partnership approach to unbundling the right strategy?
I think it's all about access and connectivity and allowing all of the potential contributors to be able to come in and innovate and provide new capabilities, explore new areas, and develop things that we aren't even thinking of today. And the only way that happens in a broad sense is to open up space and space data to a larger number of developers that work across all of the commercial industries you can think of, across the government, across a lot of the civil and international kinds of capabilities that can leverage space data to revolutionize and change their specific industries and offer new things that will open up new industry areas.
Yeah, we completely agree that very specialized knowledge is important to be able to use a very rich data set and start to create value from it. And that has definitely been a challenge to the way that the industry has been built in the past, and a bundled solution. So you're building a unique value proposition for infrastructure companies as well as end applications. So let's start with those infrastructure companies, launch and satellite capabilities that are building sort of the hardware. What is it that you're building out, and how are you looking to add value, at that layer of the technology stack?
I think we partner with that portion of the industry in bringing cloud and cloud processing capabilities, but in addition to that, a whole suite of model-based engineering tools and frameworks to help those companies that are building out very complex satellites and satellite constellations to be able to do the model-based engineering up front to reduce the cost and time and make them more efficient in what they put in space and lower their price point. It's the kind of thing that we've done in other industries. We've worked with the auto industry, we've worked with oil and gas industry to do very complex digital engineering efforts to help them improve their development and integration capabilities. And it's both reduce cost and improve their agility and time to market. So we're looking to leverage those same kinds of capabilities to help the space community.
Great. And how will you support the development of the unique applications that begin to emerge on top of the data and that infrastructure that are more downstream?
Sure, I think that that's an area that we also have a rich history in. When you think about our terrestrial capabilities and our Azure Marketplace, where we have a whole host of application and service providers in this environment that are discoverable by end user customers, we kind of want to do the same thing for space and have a space marketplace or an aspect of that larger marketplace that allows these very specific developers to come in and develop unique applications that fit specific needs within various industries. So, we provide that platform, we provide access to data and a variety of data providers into what is a searchable, discoverable set of data resources inside of the platform that allows them to quickly pull what they need, do the processing on it, and provide that end user capability to any number of end user customers. And we can do that so much faster and so much broader taking this partnership approach. So we welcome all comers, learn to develop on the platform, have some very focused and specific challenges that you're after, and I think we can work together to solve it.
Are there any examples that are worth highlighting or challenges that you faced as you started to build that ecosystem approach?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest part of it is because the market is shaped the way it is and our competition plays the game the way they do, everybody was convinced that Microsoft, with our machine learning and AI capabilities, with our emulation environments, we were going to start developing very specific end user applications. And I think if you look at how we operate across the larger commercial ecosystem and all the other industry verticals, you'll see we don't do that. So some of the bigger challenges have been, welcoming people in and letting them know we're a different kind of partner. You can come into our environment, you can leverage the pieces, the services and tools pieces on that platform that you need, or none of them if you don't need them. If all you need is cloud, we can be that kind of partner as well. So it's been more of getting the word out that Microsoft is now a major cloud player, but approaching, not just the space market, but all markets a lot differently than our competition.
Yeah, you and I have had several conversations about this approach, and it really is almost like putting together getting the Lego pieces and putting those pieces together, and then allowing the developers downstream to, customize, pick and choose what tools are going to be most effective. And so bringing that data to a central location, and then also the tools, the compute, the storage, all in one sort of central ecosystem that allows a developer to abstract away from the complexity of the underlying data. You don't even need to know that this image was taken from a satellite at a certain orbit at this time. You're able to get to the insight that a specific house has, potential fire risk because it's in close proximity to a tree. And that's really the step change that we're trying to make is, going from those pixels and being very deeply connected into the hardware ecosystem to, very practical, immediate insights that allow businesses and governments to make faster, better decisions at a scale that's global, right?
Exactly. I think there are several aspects to that, Justice. It's being able to get access to the space data, but the need to access those other sources of data. Take the house reference that you made. There are a number of data sources with information about that house, where it's located, but what are the wiring aspects associated with that house? Is it a higher risk? So an insurance company might need to know, not only where it's located, where the trees are, where these other things are, but when they start to combine that with other data sources that they have or can get access to, they can do a lot more to tailor the insurance coverage, the response, the kinds of things that need to get done so that they can better support their customers. And space is an aspect of that. So again, we started to recognize whether it's insurance or helping farmers figure out where the nutrients or the moisture in the soils are, can be heavily supported by space data in addition to other data sources that they have, but they can start to revolutionize and really do innovative and cost-saving things to help increase yields of their crop and do that at a much lower cost. So we can start feeding more of the world at a lower cost, which should be something that makes everybody a little excited, even in an industry that most people don't think is that exciting, like farming.
I think that's an incredibly important point, and sort of draws a helpful point of comparison to a more vertical solution. So you need outside data or data in addition to any sort of satellite data to fully understand what's happening. And the NGA has known this for a long period of time. They would sort of have a tip and cue process where they would use satellites to quickly identify a point of interest, come to some quick insight, and then drill deeper in, whether it be satellite data or some other alternative source, to get much more precise, accurate information. And so to think of the space ecosystem and satellite data as a tool that can exist in isolation doesn't work. You're missing all the exponential value that comes when you're able to fuse multiple data sets and create a more open, architecture platform. So I think that was a really important point. I'm glad that you brought that up. So moving forward, I think that I'd love to hear one of the biggest announcements that I've heard, from Microsoft recently regarding the space initiative is the partnership with SpaceX Starlink. I'm just curious how this fits into everything that we've just discussed.
Oh, sure. I think first and foremost, our larger approach to space starts with connectivity. So when you think about what the Starlink constellation is trying to accomplish, it is that connectivity to areas of the world that have been very connectivity challenged, either that in rural areas within the U.S., be that places in the middle of the ocean where sea traffic is a big part of that, places in remote Africa, the Arctic, those kinds of places that it's just difficult to have the connectivity and be able to support the kinds of efforts that are essential to some of the things going on. There are a whole lot of research, there are development efforts, there are industry safety and those kinds of things that really need that connectivity to be able to be successful in the things that they're doing. So, the relationship and partnership that we're building with SpaceX, and we're building out partnerships with others as well. But it represents the kind of larger relationship that we are building and bringing it in. So they represent a really good large example of a connectivity partner. But I would tell you there are just as many small partners that we're already working with Even inside our Azure Orbital, which is our ground station as a service capability, we're working closely with smalls like Kubos that do command and control of satellite software development to help with the scheduling and connection and the TT&C associated with the connectivity that we're bringing to that larger market. So SpaceX is a great example. It's going to help us scale very quickly and help bring in the kind of connectivity that's required to do processing at the edge, move large amounts of data from those remote locations much quicker and get it to processing and get that distributed. So we're excited about partnerships like that, but we're excited about all of our partnerships and the larger things that brings to the space environment. And then, as we've talked about, how that then gets infused and works to support the broader industry efforts across the board.
So you really are looking to build partnerships with some of the biggest and most innovative players, as well as some of the smaller new entrants that are really pushing the boundaries. Is there any requirements that you're looking for in terms of sort of stage or development that you think makes an ideal partner to start to come into this ecosystem and act as one of those building blocks?
I think you have to at least have the concept for the capability that you're looking to produce. I would tell you that it's never too early to start, but you probably ought to have the concept in mind of what you're trying to build. Some initial software capability that you want to integrate into the environment is always helpful, but sometimes starting the conversations early might help shape how you're thinking or how you're approaching and making educated guesses about what it is you're going to have to build as part of your software effort. The example I'll use is, are you going to try and build out the data structure pieces underneath your software application to be able to do some of the things you're looking to do? Are you going to build your own analytics engine, or can you leverage something that's out there? Because what we're looking to do in this larger ecosystem, especially with the smaller companies coming in, is provide a lot of out-of-the-box tools that will probably be a 70 or 80% answer and allow them to accelerate and focus on the specific application that they're developing. And we help bring the tools to do a lot of the rest of that.
I mean, that is the value of a more unbundled solution. You can pick and choose what you need to build on, and you don't have to build the full technology stack end to end. Building the hardware, processing it, building your AI capabilities, having deep industry knowledge to be able to deliver it. That truly is the advantage. So great. So what are your priorities as you build and expand Microsoft's space offering over the next year? Where are you focused?
Sure. We'd love to say we're such a big company we can focus on all aspects, but that's just not reality. So I think I've mentioned it already. We started with connectivity. So we have our ground station as a service, and we're bringing not only our own capabilities with antennas on top of our own data centers as a start to that, but we've already partnered with a lot of the major SATCOM providers to be able to leverage their ground segment and get you quickly into cloud, which really gives you a global footprint from a ground segment perspective out of the gate. The next focus area for us really is the emulation environment to help with the digital engineering aspects of things in the development of satellites and the development of launch capabilities and those infrastructure pieces. Quickly behind that, I would say, what we'll get to in the, by the end of the year is that larger analytics marketplace where we are going to have a number of data provider partners already lined up. We've got several in the queue already to be able to provide multiple data sources into a common cloud-based environment to ingest, label, tag, work the metadata aspects to make all of those data sources quickly searchable, and accessible and in formats that machine learning, AI, and other applications can quickly leverage to do the things they need to do. So that's something that we get by the end of the year. I will do a little sneak preview as well. We are starting our processing in space capabilities, working with a number of partners to run our edge software on their hardware platform in space.
That's a lot, and those are all incredibly exciting products and services to build out. So that has to be really exciting. So I'd like to wrap things up by sharing a vision of where we're going and what this leads to. Over the next decade, satellites could bring over 1 billion new users online, and geospatial data will help us understand our environment, industries, and people like never before. At Space Capital, we're incredibly excited about this potential. Greg, when you look across Microsoft's work from Azure Orbital to the planetary computer, what are you most excited about?
I think it's the opening of the realm of possibilities, because ultimately when you look at what we're trying to do, we're trying to take the terrestrial cloud and those capabilities and bring that to space, both in the development of things to get things to space, as well as the functions that will be supported in space. And so bringing a combination of terrestrial and space-based clouds, opening all of that data up to a number of partners. They're doing things from building out the next commercial space station to lunar research to Mars and deep space exploration. There are so many things that are going to happen in the space environment, and the large ecosystem of partners that we work with will be the ones breaking that ground and creating the new capabilities, making the new discoveries, and allowing us to figure out what all of this energy and movement to space will really become.
You and I have had, several conversations about the next generation of geospatial intelligence capabilities coming online. So this is, moving to a more real-time infrastructure where we're able to, capture an image, download that and process it and integrate it into a work stream almost instantaneously. The breadth of which the different instrument types that exist on orbit, it's not just a simple GPS signal anymore that helps you sort of understand position and time. It is a very dense image that can tell us a tremendous amount about the property and history and composition of different objects that we're looking at, and the potential that's just locked up within a lot of this data, to me, feels exponential. You mentioned agriculture as one immediate potential opportunity, and I know M12 Ventures has invested with us in a company that's leading the way here. So that company is called Florisat. They've recently merged with another company and are rapidly growing. But are there any other areas that you're really excited about, whether it be insurance or new industries that you see being disrupted?
Oh, I think there are a number. I mean, when you look out at lunar, the mining industry is already starting to move in directions to figure out how to better understand the kinds of minerals that are there. They're starting to already, on some of the initial research that's been done, get an idea of the kinds of things that are there and understanding what they can do and what kind of resource that becomes to fuel new materials, to support and revolutionize the mineral aspect of a lot of industries and what they can supply there. I think that there's also, from a more of a government and management aspect of things, there is the concept of space traffic management. We've talked a lot about space and all the things that are going on there. One of the things that means is there are more objects up there doing it. So the more and more pieces we have in space, the more essential it's going to be able to work the decongestion, the deconfliction of orbits, the putting new things up there. I think about how complex it is right now just to plan a launch window for something like something going up to the International Space Station for resupply. It's very, very difficult to plan that kind of launch these days because there are so many things in orbit and debris that are out there. So excited to see what we're doing there, the ability to clean up some of that space debris. We've already polluted, for lack of a better description, we've already kind of polluted the lower Earth orbit environment, and that slowly will come out and come back to Earth. But the more we can do to clean that up, the safer that environment is, and the better we can leverage it. So there are just a number of technologies out there that will allow us to help on that front as well.
Well, I think that's a big, bold vision, and it draws me back to something that I often say. Space. The reason we go to space, particularly right now, is all about the data. And when you look at it from that perspective, whether it be looking out into sort of deep space and understanding understanding the history and the physics of who we are, or looking back down here at Earth to help us drive our industries from agriculture to logistics to insurance, it is that data that underpins really sophisticated decisions and helps us manage a global economy. And so I can see very clearly why Microsoft would be excited about this and have a very unique value proposition all across the technology stack, from the infrastructure through the application. So this was a really helpful conversation and incredibly exciting. Thanks, Greg, for your time today. And I just want to say thanks for everyone who tuned in to listen to this conversation. We'll follow up with an email linking to this video, and we'll share additional steps that we're taking with Microsoft to help make this vision a reality. So thank you.